I actually, wherever my other command, not command, but player aid is, it also includes all the things that I wrote into this one. So that's good. I was worried I'd only done one of them. So about ready to actually start Montebello. Again, this is a very small scenario. I'm hoping the counter mix here is sufficient. If it's not, I may have to dig into counter mixes for some of the other print and plays for, I don't know, I can probably get away with morale markers from the base game, but some of the other counters may be more difficult. All right. So what's the situation? It is 1800. Napoleon's not here, but this is part of the Italian campaign, and somewhere I have what sort of is happening. Lon is he's got the Austrian army behind him, between him and France to the west of him. And both armies are kind of trying to get back into position. Now, Napoleon has his main army at Milan and actually is able to supply it from there. The Austrians have to get through. This is, I guess, a key road going through here. And Lon doesn't have his full corps here. He has a division, and Victor is nearby, able to support and whatnot. But Lon is in a position where he might be able to cut off and do a lot of damage to his opponent, who is Ott. Now, what's kind of neat about this is like 5 days before Marengo, which is a much more important battle where Napoleon actually is. And this is actually, Lon gets a duchy of Marengo out of this, of Montebello out of this. And he doesn't do a tremendously impressive job. He actually is more impressive at Marengo, but since Napoleon was there and this was Lon's fight, this is where this is going to be judged. And you can see there's some mountainous terrain over here. The map, unfortunately, I needed to create some space between the hexes. It didn't line up quite as well as I expected. I don't know if this is, again, an old version of the print materials, but there's no way I can print anything this pretty anymore. This was done way back when I was at work. And my color printer doesn't work that well. Maybe did at one point. We have a couple of terrain objects here. The village of Casteggio over here, which is a main avenue with houses on both sides. Cavalry can charge along the main road of Casteggio, but with modifiers for the defender. On the defender's check to stand roll. If the defender's in march column, they get a -1. All other formations get a +1. Now, if that's on the roll, check to stands, I think you want high, which means march column would not do well. Yeah, you want to roll high on checks to stand. You may always want to roll high in this game, I don't recall. But the biggest thing is that the road cuts through it in a fashion in which you can actually attack it. Okay. The castle of Giordone, now Casina il Giardena, was in fact a walled complex of farms. That's over here. It's a fortified hex and a village hex for all other purposes. We haven't looked at fortified hexes. I don't know what they do, but I assume they're pretty good. We'll see if that's how important that's going to be to the scenario when we look at the victory conditions. The road is the important thing, and this doesn't really dominate it, but it might have some significance. On both sides, reinforcements arrive as soon as they can. The commanders are anxious about when they would turn up. So the 5th Corps and S Division. 5th Corps is Victor's forces. S Division is some of the Austrian forces here. Schellenberg. Okay, 5th Corps is over here. All right. Are variable reinforcements. At the beginning of an eligible turn, the player rolls a die. If it's equal or more than the entry number, then the command enters normally. If not, then they roll again next turn. If the advance, delay, reinforcement, special events are rolled, you shift the procedure over. So these are some of the special events allow you to shift when something comes into play. French infantry are considered combat columns in column. The French army is Lannes Corps, Watrin, the 12th Hussars, the 28th Line, and Chamberlac's division of Victor's Corps. Lannes is in command of the army, and the L Corps headquarters functions as an army headquarters for all purposes. I don't believe it's... Oh, nothing's on the board to begin with. The French are not there. This is O'Reilly's force. This is the other thing, Vogelsang. Lannes can give orders to Victor's Corps and independent orders to Watrin, the Hussars, and the 28th. Now, the initial orders I've written down, I'm kind of disturbed by them. So I'm not too upset by the Austrian orders. Defend Rivetta Gandolfi, fine. Move to Casteggio and await orders. Well, it's not clear what that means. Does that mean they can fall into the generic defense, or do they automatically go into the no order state? I don't know. And same for the S. I feel like I have the option to make that declaration at the time because it doesn't really say, but I'm a little disturbed by it. However, if I didn't have the and await further orders, I would have that option to make that switch at that point. For the French orders, capture Rivetta Gandolfi, fine. No problem with that. That's a straightforward order. But both the 12th and 28th, and they're actually both separate, have support the W division. This is horrible. I would never write an order like that. I would write an order, support the W division in its assault on or up to or something like that, not just support them. The way that's written, it is so open-ended, and the game kind of curses you about like, hey, you can't just do attack west because that's too general. Well, attack west as far as you can go then, you know, I mean, whatever. But support some division, it just indicates that, yeah, you know, for the rest of the game until these things get a failure, whatever orders I give to this, they take, yet they're not attached. Attached implies some different things, and they didn't choose to do that, and I'm very disturbed by that. And then Victor has orders to move someplace and await orders. 3013, which is going to be here. Okay, so whatever. If Lannes can't command anymore, Victor takes command. Because the map is so small, Lannes is allowed to issue aid written or aid oral orders to V Corps starting from the 1230 command phase. Presumably this is before he's on map, which is what the deal is here. To calculate the order delivery time, first count the number of movement points a commander would expend traveling between Lannes and Hex A, which I'm assuming is the entry hex, but it's not spelled there where I would expect it. So we'll keep seeing. Okay. And add 8 for each 30 minutes before 2 p.m. I'm assuming Victor comes in at 2 p.m. I didn't see that anywhere, but more or less. If Lannes is 4 movement points away from 3313, which would be indeed this hex. So I'm assuming this is A. They just cut it off in the imagery. And issues orders to Victor on the 1 p.m. turn. They would spend the 4 to get to that hex, plus 2 turns, 16 more to 20, and the order will arrive at 2 p.m. Exception, if Victor's Corps arrive as reinforcements at 1:30, then bring forward the order arrival time by 30 minutes. Yeah. But basically, I can send orders to Victor off map. Victor brings his artillery as a possible variant. The French artillery present at Montebello is not well known. Lannes didn't have much of it, and Victor, who forced march, seemed to have brought none. With this option, you let him bring 2 extra gun points of light foot. I'm not going to play with it. Austrian special rules. Austrian tactical formations, there are march columns. Cav cohesion. Austrian cavalry may not charge in stacks. So I guess it's one at a time. Attachments and detachments. The Austrian army is composed of 3 divisions under Field Marshal Lieutenant Ott. There's no corps structure. Up to 1 brigade per division can be detached and attached to another division or given an independent order. O'Reilly counts as a fighter. There should be some kind of indication of that on him. There's an F there. Very hard to read these counters. If Ott's a casualty is replaced by Schellenberg, if you go through too many, I don't know what. Austrian minor variants, Gottesheim, was present at the battle and took an active part in it, but his troopers were absent. Milas chose a special route for them through Bobbio, and they should have joined Ott Corps at Piacenza. They didn't make it and were captured on the way. This option gives 1 more leader to the Austrians. This extra leader is under Vogelsang and can be used on all command actions. That I'm kind of tempted to use just to give them an extra rally leader, but we'll leave off because I usually don't play variants. Ott is trying to reach Piacenza. The Austrians get 3 victory points for Montebello at the end of the game. 5 victory points for Montebello to Castiglio and the whole road between. And then Lannes' orders are to destroy Ott's army. So French losses generate Austrian victory points, Austrian losses generate French victory points. And you can see the Austrian losses generate more victory points than the French because of his order, because Lannes is more focused on destruction. Victory point spread, you compare the points and you get a valuation that way. Whatever losses happen here can be used at Marengo. And we're going to link the 2. We keep the losses from the Montebello battle. All the stragglers come back. Skirmishers would recover just as in a battle, recovering them into pairs of reduced skirmishers into a single full-strength skirmisher if possible. If this is insufficient to recover all skirmishers, then they can be recovered at the cost of 1 strength point, i.e. you can convert regular strength points into skirmishers during that 5 days. Give them some extra training or whatever. For each gun point lost at Montebello, remove 1 at Marengo. The owner can choose which one. Then you need to make the following changes to the setup at Marengo. The divisions that are present will basically convert over to the Marengo lost points, but there's some additional, there's some combination units where the same unit, where 2 units on this board are 1 unit there. And then there's also, you can roll, and on a 3 through 6, you get to remove a couple of 1 to 2 step losses from the army as to recovery of actual strength points from somewhere or another. And the Austrians have something very similar to that. And we'll worry about that when it happens. The actual rules for this, well, so here's the thing. Variable reinforcements here and here. And there's nothing that says anything about when they fucking come in. And this is my problem. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So starting at 130, you start rolling an entry number. I guess, although it doesn't spell this out that I see, you roll equal to or greater and you get that. The expected time of entry for 5th Corps is 2 p.m. then. And likewise here we'll be starting to roll at 12. I don't know. I kind of want to put these... Oh, there are markers on here. Yeah. So the reinforcement turns. 12 has an Austrian reinforcement. 11:30 has nothing, and something's supposed to come in at 11:30, the odd army. 12 is the first turn that this force could come in, so maybe they misprinted things. And it continues on through 1. For the French, we get things at 11, 12, and 12:30. 11, the first turn of the game, of course. 12 and 12:30. Those are marked. They've got the 2 p.m. marked, which is the center of the victor roll, which is sort of their expected time, but again, they might come in early based on the die rolls. So I'll fish those guys out and put them in place. And the rest of it is the special events table. I'm going to try playing with the special events, or with event rolls. I think they're a cool thing. It's a pity that the core event rolls are in the series rules. I don't have an easy place to get them. But then, yeah, these have a significant number of, events that just impact the game as a whole, and we'll see if any of them take effect. And then some historical information, because, they didn't have to print this. So it doesn't... One of the big costs of putting historical information in a game is the extra paper and printing costs. I don't feel like the gamers are at all problematic about that. At least they weren't. Back when they were printing on real paper and everything felt good to me. And they used up a lot of paper to make sure they explained things correctly and everything. And I gotta say, I really appreciate the rules that they used to put together. Nowadays, I think they still put as much information in, but they've started going to glossy paper, if I'm correct. And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I know the maps have gotten to a glossy kind of material of a sort that, like, you drip a little piece of sweat or some spittle on it or whatever, and it just, like, melts the map a little bit because modern papers suck. I just got one of their games recently, so I'll take a peek at that to make sure I'm not lying to you about their rule books. But certainly everything done, up until like 2014 or so, I was definitely still this nice sturdy paper, and I love that stuff. Unfortunately, I'm correct. I get some of the Grand Tactical stuff, and yeah, it's all glossy, which, that for me, that's a big negative, actually. I don't know if it's enough to convince me to stop buying. I'm kind of on the edge, I was always on the edge on this kind of stuff because it's like, it's World War II, it's maybe too small a scale for me. OCS, I'm getting tired of buying all of them and not playing any of them for whatever reason. I've been tending to buy their games just because of the quality of the game itself, knowing, how good the rule systems tend to be. But I don't know. Anyway, let me get some more setup going and maybe start a turn or so. So I got all my pieces set up. Let me make sure O'Reilly doesn't... O'Reilly has some Jaegers that would have... And that is... good luck. These are Hussars. They must be under here with the artillery on top of them. I would be able to have my skirmishers deployed. I'm not sure I want to have them right in front of me. And but I could put them, let's find my skirmishers. These are normal. Let's put them over here. I think that's actually not a bad idea. I don't think the French can outflank me, but all right. I may end up regretting it, as I always regret things. Time to kind of get used to the charts a little bit, because they are very complex and heavy in this game, and I am not seeing a sequence of play in here. Okay, I don't see one. Good luck finding any when there's that much. I often don't find things easily. Sequence of play is not that complicated though, but it's more complicated than usual. So first thing I'm going to do is a random event. Did we do them on the first turn? Seems a little weird to do it on the very first turn of the game, but sometimes it doesn't say not to. I gotta get me some dice. French turn, I roll a die. On a 1, I have a possible random event. Oh, how about that? Now we roll on the base random events table. 7, we get cav recovery. For this turn, only roll for any blown cavalry units that would otherwise qualify for straggler recovery as if they were infantry. Well, any cav that I have, does it say blown? No? Blown or not. Yeah, so you'd be able to recover, I guess, full losses as though they were cav stragglers. That's going to be a pretty rare thing to have happen. Let's go here again. Command phase. I don't have any commands I want to write. I'm okay with all of them. I don't have to roll any attack stoppage checks, I think, until I come on the board. Phasing fire. There's no French units on the board. They can't shoot. So now they move, and we look at the movement chart to understand it better, because there's a lot of terrain in this game. Now, along that road movement is 1. But I don't think it obviates the stream or anything like that. Let me look up road movement again. But otherwise, I have this stream ford, hindering terrain. That's going to shake units. There's, yeah. I don't know if there's a bridge essentially there. They don't talk about, like, there's nothing pointing to bridge anywhere. So let me see if roads obviate other terrain in the hex. They usually do in games, but unless there's a bridge considered there. And here, see, it's different. Here the white is drawn over the river. Here it's under. Does that make a difference? I don't know. If I do road movement, I obviate the bridge. I can't remember what I'm doing anymore. And you can't use it to enter the enemy hex. You must be in column to use road movement. You cannot enter close combat, etc. Okay, so let's start bringing my W division in. And my W division is this Watchman. All B morale with 1 unit a little bigger than the others. Movement allowance for infantry in column is 8. Road is 1 using road movement. So I'd come in 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm in danger because there's an artillery on top here. And it is unlimbered. You can barely see. Again, the older games used to show, I think, the artillery, being hauled by their horses, CWB and whatnot, and on the other side, the guns deployed. I don't know, I kind of like that stuff. So this was 1, 2, 3, 4. Clear terrain, though, costs only 1 for column. Let me see the opportunity fire range for artillery. We got that here. It's 1, 2, 3 hexes out. I only got 1 opportunity fire. So I was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could be leaving the opportunity fire here. Do I want to shoot it? I think so, because he could screw around with me otherwise. So we will take, I get to do opportunity fire against each unit. So this is leaving, so I get to do op fire. I go to the fire phase. This is some kind of artillery. I don't know how they mark the difference between heavy and light. Okay. Well, that kind of sucks, because I don't remember what the how it's marked in this. It's a triangle in the older ones. Let's take a look at the counter stuff. Gun points are light. Heavy's got a star. Okay. I don't think there's a star here. I don't see one there. It's horse artillery, so it probably is not. So I am firing, how many gun points are there? 2 gun points, that's presented, at a range of 1, 2, 3, which means I have a 1 fire value. I look at the 1 fire value, and I roll a die. I get a 4, there's no effect, and now I count my movement again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do I want to cross the stream? The stream would cost me 1 extra and shake it. 7, 8, and shake. Now, skirmishers? I don't know. Not all my units have skirmishers. This was the 6th light. It has one. I could have detached it ahead of time, so let's do so, because there's an advantage to having a skirmisher on top of you when you're facing the enemy, and now I'm creating a mess over there. Okay. That's 1 unit. This will speed up, there's no question. Plus, I'm not going to devote my effort to showing it all. Now, the units come in one after the other in the road, so I'll bring the next unit in, and so on. So I charged in all willy-nilly. These guys moved up. Remember, I can do opportunity fire for stopping in a fire zone. So, see, when a unit moves into or attempts to change formation or tries to... So at range 1, I was able to fire at this. I got a hefty hit, and just with 1 die roll, basically, I'm causing a hit, which is marked here, and morale to back 2. I should really mark these skirmishers as used up, as they're on the board now. The hit's marked here, no stragglers. This is where the system is really, really much faster. With the old system, what I would have had to do is roll 1 die to hit, 2 dice for a, 1 die to hit, a possible die for a rounding die, because sometimes you did a half hit that had to be rounded up or down. This is the same as CWB that I'm describing here. 2 dice for a morale check, I think. I'm not sure. I think the system switched to an 11 to 66 for morale. And then something else. A 1 die for a straggler check. And the 2 dice for the morale check, because they're 11 to 66, have to be different colors. So basically I'd have 2 dice, 1 die for the main attack roll, 2 different colored dice for the morale check. All of these dice would have to be different in appearance. I'd use different size dice and stuff like that. So I'm rolling like 5 dice at once and then assessing them. This takes a while to get used to right now, figuring out, hey, where am I, what am I? But it is clearly going to be quicker to handle. Better? Well, probably, for now. The next thing in order is non-phasing fire phase. Now, I just shot at this unit. I don't have a line of sight to that, so I couldn't shoot at it. I can shoot at it again, though. I just looked that up. That's the case. So I've got another 2-point fire on them. A 6 does nothing, though, so that's fine. My skirmisher is not close enough to fire. Close combat phase. I used road movement, so I wasn't able to go into close combat even if I wanted to. No straggler recovery. Shaken units recover to normal. This guy is not in a zone of influence, so he recovers. But this guy is, so he's kind of fucked. By moving that close, I put myself in danger against the artillery. And I have no cav on the board with this unit. So that gets me through half a turn. We go to the Austrian side of things. And we roll a random event for the Austrians. They don't get one. Commands. All right, let's take a look at what my orders are here. I've got to defend this. Let me think about that a little bit. But meanwhile, I can move these guys on. They can go to Casteggio without too much difficulty. After that, I have another fire phase. My artillery gets to shoot again, and I'll keep plunking that one unit heavily. It's on the 2 table. I did a hit on it. Now, notably, it's now down to A size. Under the old system, getting that hit meant a guaranteed morale check. This thing's already disordered. It would be more likely to fail its morale. So the smoothness or the streamlining of the system to just one roll on the chart means that things don't quite work the same way. It's not a duplication of the old system that's been streamlined. It's a different system. And I'm not sure how much I like that. One of the things that was really pleasant about the old system is you saw units getting disordered. You know they're in trouble in that case. Now, of course, I can't recover my morale while I'm disordered. So that's kind of problematic as well. Now I go to the movement where I move those guys from Montebello. I'm going to start using tweezers on this game. Immediately obvious to me, these guys have moved up, taking different roads and whatnot. The artillery in the back. Is that these are vineyards here. And they're not pleasant. They are blocking terrain. That's what the B means. Hindering terrain for cav charges. That's where I put my cav. That was kind of stupid of me. And that has a high movement point cost. Blocking means I can't do line of sight through them. So I'm in kind of an iffy position here. Definitely going to move my skirmishers forward though, because they can get some nasty fire there. Flanking. What's up with flanking? Well, I don't see any modifiers here. Oh no, here we go. Target is, yeah, so flanking the line will be an advantage against them. But unlike, I mean, it's only skirmishers, so they're actually not using this. They'll be using this. Do they get a flanking bonus? They do not. They do not. Okay. So I'm going to move my skirmishers up here, but I may regret this. My infantry's here. My cav needs to get the hell out of there. It's not in the best of places. I want it a little further back because I can't charge those vineyards. So my cav is, what kind of cav is it? I can't tell. It'll have a star, I guess, if it's heavy. So it's light cav with 14 movement points. I do a 180 for 1, 2, 3, and position it back there, which is where I should have had it to begin with. I think I'm happy with this situation. The non-phasing player can now fire. These skirmishers here are allowed to fire at the artillery there. One reason I might have wanted my skirmishers in there, you know what? I'll put my skirmishers in there. They're fine. And they don't count as the lead unit. Is because of this combine here. So my skirmishers are 2, theirs are 1. So I have a firing skirmisher of 1. And that's it. If I roll less than or equal to that on one die, I cause a morale issue. And maybe gun points. I do not get skirmisher fire there of any success. No rally is happening. Second player turn is done. And we're back to the French at 11:30. I'm going to try to call it a night here. I've tried to go to bed already once. I have an early morning interview tomorrow. It's a preliminary interview, but you know, if I don't do a good job on that, I don't get any further, right? So yeah, we'll see if I can get some sleep in and if my alarm goes off and stuff like that. I'm scared because I have my alarm, you know, I haven't been relying on it. I'm used to it. I used to use it every damn day, and now I'm just like, you can bump it and it doesn't work right. I tried to check it, but who knows. With such a small scenario, we're going to stay on a little bit of detail here. So I've got, I didn't get an event. I don't think there's any commands I want to write for the French. And I do have to worry about attack stoppage here. So let's find that. And I would have completely forgotten that otherwise. Subunits in the command. This is Watrin here. He's got 3 subunits, none of which have been wrecked, which means my number is 1. That goes over here. My commander has a 2. So I compare that, and I need to roll a 3 or better. There are no modifiers except the night roll. I almost fail, but I get to keep the command going. Continue down, phasing fire. All right. So I have no artillery, but I do have a skirmisher there. And I've got 2 points of skirmisher versus basically 1 point of skirmisher there. So I get a 1. Nothing special. So I need to roll less than or equal to a 1 to have any effect on the Austrians. I fail to do that. See, here you want to roll low. It's not a guarantee anywhere what you want to roll, which means things are going to be hard to remember. When you shift things like that, it becomes more of a, oh, I have to look this up now because I'm not entirely sure how it works in each case. Now we go to movement. Now here's the problem. I am disordered here. I don't want to be disordered. So I can back across the stream. I'll leave these skirmishers here disordered. No harm to that. Get another one for my unit. But I've just gone back. Now, I could opportunity fire, but I have those skirmishers in my way. I think I'm allowed to still fire with the artillery, even though they're plinking at me, because they're not blocking my line of sight in any sense. So they're not blocking line of sight, but I believe you're able to fire as long as there aren't skirmishers directly in front of what you're looking at there. And I'm not in artillery here. That's not going to be here. It's going to be in the fire. There we go. Just try. You cannot fire through or over friendly units, including skirmishers. You cannot fire through adjacent enemy skirmishers, but I don't have to fire through them, because if there was another skirmisher here, I would. Which means if I do this first, if I move these guys here, now they can shoot at the skirmishers, but I don't believe they're able to. Maybe they are. Yeah. So the problem I have is that if I leave them there, they get shot at, I think. I think there's nothing against firing artillery at skirmishers, and that they can be killed. Let's see. Yeah, there's no minus to attacking skirmishers, which weirds me out. Like, they should be hard to hurt with artillery. I don't mind them taking morale hits from the artillery plinking in their general area, although, again, they're so dispersed that I'm not sure that they would. I do mind them taking taking fire. So let me see if I can, like they shouldn't be able to take casualties. It should be very hard to target them. Let me see if there's anything there. Find anything, so I'm just going to pull them back with these guys because I want to rally them. Actually, I don't want them there. Now that allows opportunity fire. Unfortunately, for some reason I have the skirmishers on top here. They should not be. Because I don't want them performing fire. I want the artillery to perform the fire. The skirmishers are just there to protect my artillery. I hope I didn't trade fire with skirmishers from them. My skirmishers cannot possibly get a hit against the French skirmishers. So now I get an opportunity fire. This was 2 gun points at range 2. Is that good old 1, which is still capable of doing a hit. And it does. Shit. Okay. Well, that's crappy. Which unit do I have? I can't remember. This is the 40th line. It's the one that took the hits. And it will rout. Which is a 6-hex retreat. Well, that's a problem, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me think. I've got 2 more movement points. I got to check route movement because I'm not. Let's not bloodlust that. Same counter. I think you only retreat out to 6 hexes, but I'm not positive of that. I need to find the rule, and I don't want to spend time flipping through the pages. The intro was bad enough. 6 hexes away from the enemy, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me get off the road, just so I don't cause problems. And they fell back. That was my op fire for that movement. If this skirmisher moves forward, I got to deal with op fire for it. But I don't have to deal with op fire if I move into the vineyards. Let's look at the vineyards. That costs 2 movement in column. My unit is better. 1, 2, 3. I'm in there. This guy has to cross the stream, which is +1 and shaken. So that's 2. I get a shaken marker. I'm subject to opportunity fire as I leave that hex. So that's 2 hexes with the gun. I need I'm on the 1 table again. Shit. Sucks to be me, doesn't it? So this is the 22nd line. Takes a hit. French are getting their asses kicked here. I have a leader loss check on that. 11 or 12. I think. I may have to roll a die first on that, but I think it's just 11 or 12. And I take 2 morale hits from that, which is painful. But wait a minute, I've been cheating. I have been cheating. So this is a B morale. This is a B morale. It actually only takes 1. These guys probably got hit too hard with their morale. I'm leaving them alone. I fucked up. But okay. Do I want to keep moving? So my movement's just been halved because I've been disordered. That's one of the effects of being disordered. I remember that. Let me see if it's morale effect. Shaken plus movement allowance halved, and it's halved at the moment that the occurrence happened. So I spent 2 movement points out of my 8. I had 6. Now I have 3, which could get me into the vineyard. The cav can't charge me if I'm in the vineyard, so I will continue on. Cav can't countercharge because I'm entering a target hex there. I probably should have left more room. And we have completed our movement at that point. Which means we go to non-phasing fire. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexes with a light gun, 2 light gun points. That does not get me on the chart. So no fire there. But we get to do close combat. And we follow the close combat procedure. We entered. Did I have the 2 extra movement points? I think so. I forgot to consider that. Check to stand. See the order, 15.21. Well, I bet you the order is spelled out here. That would be likely. Check to stand up here. Checking order, infantry. Defender in town village, no. Defender in fortified, no. Higher terrain, no. None of the above. This will be the smaller unit. Okay. So this is a A-sized unit, and this is a A-sized unit. Have I taken losses on either of them? I don't think so. This is nothing has been lost by the Austrians. The French, the only one that's below its original starting is that 40th line that got knocked back. So equal size, the attacker has to check first. I am, I believe, B morale. I look for my modifiers. I am attacking in regular column, which means I don't get a penalty. So I just need a 1 or better. Well, I'm good. For the Austrians, they are a C morale unit, which gives them a base. Oh no, I'm a B. I thought I was an A for some reason. So I need a 2 or better. So let's see if we stand. And we're really good at rolling 1s this game. Wow. Okay, so we failed to stand. That means we lost the battle. So we go to Defender 1. The attacker gets a loss and a retreat. I'm a B morale unit. In column versus defending line. Yeah, I got line there, so that's +1 on a B unit. I roll another 1, but that's good for me this time. That's a 1-1. And let's look up who this is. This is the 6th light. I can't take the loss against, so I get one of these and a half for a straggler. Wow, those stragglers, this little box doesn't make stragglers look good. I'm going to keep it that way. Okay, so I get a hit in the straggler, no morale hit, but I got to worry about the defender's losses as well, which are over here. It's a C quality unit with no modifiers. Takes a 4, which is 1, 2 stragglers, and a morale hit. Who is this? I can't read. Let's pump him back. And let's see. Okay, I still can't read. This is part of O'Reilly. The only C is this WKNO Grenzer. So what did I get as a hit against it? Shit. Defender losses C4, 1, 2, and a morale. So this unit takes 1 hit. Two straggles. And it is now shaken. But I did repulse the enemy. So you can see, even though I won the combat, the lower morale means that I took more damage from it overall. That's my close combat. That's going to put me to the rally phase. Let me change batteries because I'm almost out. By the way, I had that interview. It was sort of a pre-screening type thing. It went fairly well. I guess. There were some, they're willing to put me through the normal screening. There were some questions that were not in my area of expertise, which was problematic, but I don't know. Okay. So rally phase, none of my units can recover stragglers for the French because they are all in engage orders. However, I am allowed to rally my 1 unit. How do I rally? I believe I make a morale check. If I can find it. There we go. My morale is a B for this stack. And Rallying routed, equal to or higher to rally from routed to DG. So I need a 4 or better. I have no modifier that I see. I don't get it. I would have to keep retreating, and I'm not allowed to choose to retreat or anything because I failed, except I'm 6 hexes away. That is going to put me to the end of the French turn. I'll flip this sucker over. We get the army commander for the Austrians, which means I can start writing orders, which I wasn't allowed to do before this, as soon as he comes on. Well, after he gets on the board and establishes where he is. But I'm taking a break right now because this was kind of too exhilarating for me. One thing that's kind of interesting in this game is, in this particular scenario, and we may see this in a lot of them, the orders, first of all, I've already expressed some disagreement with them, but odd is supposed to come in this turn, great, along with the army headquarters, and that'll be here, I'm sure, right? No, it'll be here. Okay, but there are no orders for it. Now, under the old system, there wouldn't need to be orders for the army command. You were allowed to move that around, I think, pretty much without any restrictions at all. So it's almost as if this scenario was written for the old system, and then they didn't bother to say, oh, army units, army command centers have to have their own orders. Now, I printed this out back in like 2007 or something. When I got the Talavera, somewhere mentioned or somewhere I was able to find these couple of print and play scenarios. I was like, well, I want them too, and had access to the right tools to be able to print them out in a nice format. But so they may have upgraded and said, hey, Montebello, we got to make some fixes to it, living rules and all that. It makes no difference because it's all online. But it does kind of bother me that the scenario doesn't really follow the version 3.0 rules that it should. Sort of a, Okay. Anyhow, I guess that means that I should consider that I'm writing some orders. I'm going to say he's just going to go somewhere near Casteggio because that's where V1 is going to be heading, and I think that's fine. Anything else I need to do here? I have no attack stoppage, no new orders that I could write yet. I could roll for initiative, but whatever. And movement, non-phasing. All right, so we'll start our movement. And this is why I have to look at the turn sequence and why I wish there was one somewhere, and I may draw one up. Because this is different. This pre-fire for the phasing player is just, it really throws me for a loop. The only place that I remember seeing this was in the old Great Battles of the American Civil War. Which, yes, people are begging me to do. And I can guarantee there's at least one that I want to do in the near future, which is the Jackson at the Crossroads, Corinth. I picked that up recently. The bigger ones, Shiloh and Gettysburg. Gettysburg, I have so much that's better for Gettysburg. And Shiloh, I have a couple of Gamers games on that. But this is, well, I've never played the Bloody April, so I will almost certainly get to it someday. But, all right. For that pre-fire, I have cannons here, but they're still not aiming in the right direction. I have to move them to get something, and I have no capability to fire otherwise. There's not going to be any charges, not that there would be because of the vineyard, so actually it is the movement phase. And again, getting used to the new version of the system, and one that is, more different than the old CWB and NBS followed conventions that I was kind of used to from, say, GBA, CW, or something else. And this is a little bit more shaky and harder to internalize. So I'm in kind of a conundrum with this artillery because foot movement cost is 6. I can't even change facing without being able to limber up. And foot movement of 6 and the cost for changing facing is 3. I could limber and then unlimber, and that's it. I don't get a facing change out of that. I get the free 180 degree. I don't want that. I'm considering trying to pull back to get these guys out of range. There is no opportunity fire for skirmishers, if I'm correct, which means that I could just drift back. But how do I get this artillery into some kind of position that I want it to be in? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm kind of disturbed. Luckily for the victory conditions, I can give up ground to Casteggio. But the fact that I can't simply hand haul the cannons and pull them around a little bit, that feels wrong to me. That feels very wrong. I'll look a little bit to see if I have anything else, but I really don't think that there's any option under these rules. And I also don't think that there's a newer version of the rules available, but I don't know for sure. Whew. I looked online. There is no errata. I don't know where I got the errata I got, but there is a version 3.0 rules with all current errata included, and some of it's blued in. I don't know if that's where I got my modifications that I put in place. I thought I saw something interesting out there, or something along those lines. But I looked in the artillery section, and there's nothing that allows you to do any kind of hand hauling to change facing that I see. I didn't look in the facing rules, but when you don't put an actual errata in place, and you just put the living rules out there, and it's not like version 3.1 or 3.01 or anything like that. It's just 3.0 with all errata. It hasn't been worked on in 11 years or changed since then. I think the system is dead, unfortunately, because I do like the core. Well, I liked it all along, from the very first version of it. Translating CWB to Napoleonic seemed like a great idea. This version, more streamlined. I seem to think I liked it better before. I'm not sure yet again. So I guess I'll play with the rules as written, which is those guns can't turn in any easy way. And I'm really troubled as to how I want to manipulate them to deal with that situation. Do I just have to fall back because I was pressed? Or do I limber them up and turn and unlimber later? I'll be able to cover a span this way if I do that. It feels way too restrictive. You should be able in 30 minutes to turn the guns a little bit. If I get too annoyed by it, I'll house roll it. But right now, let's see. I didn't notice that's horse artillery under there, which has 10 movement points and can do it. So I set that up. Other units moving forward here, op moving to give orders to Mr. V, whoever he is. And now let's take a look at this because, again, it's not internalized yet. Non-phasing fire, I've got a skirmisher available. I flipped through my rules again and again. But yeah, I am troubled by that not being there. So I've got a skirmisher all around facing, can shoot at the artillery, which is exposed on top. It's again a 1, so I need a 1 to do anything. I don't get it here. And we got a rally phase. I backed out of here, so now I can rally with no problem. It's just an automatic procedure, no die roll or anything there. I think I did everything. And I go to the French turn at 12, and we're gonna have, oh, you know what? I forgot to roll for a random event. Yay, it didn't happen. Because I would hate to have to try to patch it back, although there's so little going on in this scenario. It's so small that it's fine. Now this turn, Lon's coming on the board with his corps, which probably doesn't have any orders, knowing. Correct. Fifth corps does. Is the L? Is that like 50th corps? Or is it just L for Lon? Which would make more sense. He's also got the Hussars cav. That'll give him, you know, some capability to project cav power. I opened fire with my skirmishers and got a hit this time, 1 and 6, which did a morale hit, but the biggie is that took out a whole gun point. Again, that's a potent facet. Now, that's going to put me on the movement phase, and I may want to go storming into that hex and try a close combat with the artillery involved, just to try to dislodge the French from there. Now, given the Hussars' orders, let's find my movement chart. Their cav, I don't know what kind, probably light, because they don't have a star. Do they have one on the other side? Nope. Okay. That gives them 14 movement points, which is plenty to get me within range to launch a charge. So we may see the charge countercharge capabilities happen, but cav over a stream shakes them. Cav through the vineyards, I'm sure is terrible. Yeah, so we may have some trouble getting around in a way that can do anything. I think if I melee a unit, I tie it down so that it's not able to opportunity fire on anything else. That set me off on a series of, hey, try to figure out what the rules are if I do go into the artillery. I know the artillery gets to fire a shot at me as I'm closing. Well, the way that's worded is if an artillery, the artillery gets to opportunity fire using canister, but it's when the attacker initiates close combat. Okay, well, initiating close combat is defined, sort of, but it's not clear absolutely whether it's when you move into the hex, which makes the most sense, or when you start rolling the dice, before you roll the dice for it. I think it's when you move into the hex. And then I thought to myself, okay, self, what's up with, you know, if I've initiated a close combat against them, are they able to opportunity fire at other things at the same time? I find no prohibition on that, but there's a prohibition on any additional fire against the unit that initiated the close combat. Some of this feels like it hasn't been polished completely. And again, you know, this didn't go through the rigorous levels. So if you look at the NBS version 1, version 2, those were just continually being polished, just like CWB is, just like every other gamer's game, and it's probably best to come into them kind of late in the series. This is version 3, you'd think it would be a continuation of the polishing, but it's such a new system, so differently worded and everything, that you're left with this kind of, gosh, I don't know which they meant, you know? if you can't shoot through skirmishers that are in front of you because they're distracting you, I think you can't shoot through units that are close combating you. But likewise, I think that artillery should be able to change facing and still fire, even if it's foot artillery. And I think lots of other things that are similar to that. So I may start making up house rules just to handle, you know, what I'm doing. And this is going to be one of them, where I move into there, I'll take a opportunity fire. And do we want to take our skirmishers with us? That's a good question. There is an advantage to doing so. There's a skirmisher advantage to the close combat table. So I am going to slide into here and into there. Now, entering 0 hexes allows me to use canister. This is the only time I can use canister. And flipping through this one-handed is part of what damages my stuff. But so I'm down to 1 gun point, still at range 1, I guess. Huh. Okay, canister is not specified here. Here it is. Artillery op fires, units entering their hex, roll twice, but ignore the modifier. Yeah. Okay. I don't remember how big this thing is. Shit. God damn it. I need fingers for this. Normally I won't be playing at this detail, so I'll just tell you what happened, you know, in the game like I do with others as I go through it. Okay, so I get to roll twice on the 1 table, but ignore the modifier for columns in column size AA or terrain. Add the casualties and morale result together, but apply loss adjustments separately. Loss adjustments, loss adjustments. Where are loss adjustments? I don't, there they are. Unwrecked A and B get less morale hits, yeah. And I think this is an A. Shit, this isn't the 40th. God damn it, I can't remember who I am. This is the 6th light. 6th light is B morale, so it gets the loss adjustment advantage. Fire value is 1 for 2 rolls. Let's see if we get it right. 2 does nothing, 6 does nothing, so I got in there for free. I don't immediately handle it like I would in earlier versions. Now I have to deal with stuff like this. Well, he has to rally. He has to rally. I don't know where the L Corps is heading. Does it have orders? It does not. W, 12, and 28 have orders. L does not. L, I think, may be the Army command for this. But I am going to move to there. And for these guys, 1, 2, 3, and I bet you I'm a half for Cav there. Cav, no, it's a full point. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What about the slope? This is going up 1 level of slope, won't cost me anything. 3, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is not the right piece. What the hell? This is why. 12, 13. I can do a cow charge against this. Do I want to? I don't know. It's crappy morale, isn't it? Yeah, it's a C morale. So I think the answer is yes. So I'm going to declare a charge. That means we go to the charge subsequence against infantry. Units in the hex can choose to form square. Yeah, no shit. Ay, 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 ay. And that kind of gives these guys square as well. This can trigger opportunity fire. I don't see any. And morale degradation. Glad it's telling me, but I don't know. Okay, I don't see it here. There's no square check, so I'm going to have to look at the rules and figure out what that means. Get the feeling sometimes units lose morale when they change. Maybe it's in a ZOI, maybe it's something else. I have no idea. Look here, though, where it says forming square, it doesn't say anything. It says opportunity fire from artillery. I see nothing about morale degradation there, so I'm going to go back to where I was and ignore that. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't remember anything about this. The attacker moves to the target hex. This can cause opportunity fire reaction charges. I don't have a line of sight against it here, so we're in. The defender checks to stand. Cav charge against infantry. Check to stand. Where is it? It's up here. Okay. The defender is the only one, I guess, who does. It was a C morale, so it's a 3. I think I'm just a 3. Which way do I need to roll? Does it tell me? Equal or higher. It stands. The charge is successful. No. The attacking cav attempts breakoff. Breakoff attempt. My cav is B morale, I think. Yep. So that's a 4. I didn't bring my commander with me. I have to roll a 4 or higher. I do not break off. This is bad. If it fails, go to 8. Cav charge is repulsed. Roll for opportunity fire from defending artillery. No. Check the combat result on the appropriate table. I am repulsed. The defender rolls a die and is M-1 on an odd result. Cav rolls a die and checks the table. The defender was in square, so it's a -2 for the cav. Which means that the repulse is less damaging because they're in square. I guess because the breakoff is more likely to actually happen. I don't know. Line is painful. Defender size, God, I don't know. The defender was size A. I don't know the unit number. Again, this is, I can't tell you the unit number. Can I see it here? I cannot read this counter. It is the C counter, though, of O'Reilly. It's this WK&O Grenzers. They're size A. What was I looking up? No. So there's no modifiers for that. So I have the square modifier of -2 on the blue die. And the white die is odd, so I get a morale -1, which gives me a shaken. And yes, this is cumbersome. I told you back when I was doing Viva la Emperor, when you're doing any kind of detailed cav charges and stuff, it's going to get painful. This system, this part of the system is as cumbersome as anything in earlier versions of it. But here, I think I got 2, assuming that was the correct roll, 2 hits and a morale -1, and that's on the 12th Hussars. So, I look for my pencil. 12th Hussars take 2 hits. They are now a C-sized unit. Now, I like to mark really small units with a letter, but unfortunately this set does not come with any markings to do that with, which makes extended lines and stuff more troublesome. I could reach into here and pull one of these out, but man, that's a lot of counter for what I've got. Okay, and what did I get? A morale -1 as well, which shakes him. Let's get a shaken marker from this counter set that's reduced. Okay. The cav charge is repulsed. Roll for opportunity fire. The charge ends. The attacker retreats 6 to 12 hexes and becomes blown. I'll go here. Blown is going to be here. I'm going to actually go a little further away because I have plenty of room and I don't want to get hit by that artillery if that's the case. These guys are now in square and shaken. If I had some artillery up in the front, I could do something about that. Oh boy, I'm fatigued already. Hey, that's something that's not in this game. No fatigue in this one. There is in the Viva l'Empereur. I don't think, was there fatigue in... Yeah, I don't think there's a fatigue rule in any of this series. Okay, non-phasing fire phase. There is no fire available. The artillery here I've decided is screened by that charge. So now I go to the close combat phase. Well, that's going to be over here. I've already done the fire combat that I was going to do. And now we do the close combat subsequence. The attacker enters. I spent the extra 2 movement points. I hope so. I'm pretty sure I had them. Defending square changes formation to column and have their morale state reduced by 1. I was not in square. Defender performs opportunity fire. That was already done. And here's the issue. It said when initiate, which would have had impacts. I could have knocked those guys out of the hex with an opportunity fire when I rolled it. It's not when initiated. It's quite a bit further than initiated, right? It's, oh no, it is in the movement phase. Okay, no, I'm fine. Check to stand. See who goes first. So we look at the check to stand. Defender, fortified terrain, higher elevation, no. None of the above, the smallest. Well, I don't know who I've got here. I've got the 6th light, I think, which is only a B. I'm not sure. Yep, 6th light. And I am facing the gun, this, and that B morale unit that I don't know which one it is, because there are 2. Is this the Jaegers? Yeah, this is the Jaegers. So they are an A. 6th light is a B. I've got an additional C on there, but that may not add up. An A plus a C doesn't add up to anything. That stays just an A. That means the French have to check to stand first. We take a look. I have no morale. I have a skirmisher advantage, not disadvantage. It's just a penalty. I have a commander disadvantage, but that's just a bonus. I am attacking in a regular column, a march column, I believe. I hope. I don't know. I can't fucking see what's going on. Yeah, that's still in column. Not sure I want it to be. But line is bad at this. Line is much, so in the old version, just like in CWB, you want to be in line formation for most fighting. Not for melee necessarily, but for the firepower, you definitely do, just like you do in VLE. You don't necessarily want to ever fall into line in this. It's iffy. I got to switch batteries. The 6th light are a B morale, and they're still that. Being wrecked actually doesn't reduce your morale, but it does create penalties on here, so that's fine. It creates a -2 on the effect. So I need a 2 or higher, and I don't think I have any advantages. I succeed in standing. Now I have to check to stand for the other unit, which was the Jaegers. They're a B morale as well. Why haven't I marked off their skirmisher? I don't know. Because I'm not used to doing that. Yeah. All right. So they're a B morale, so their base is 2 as well. I am shaken. That gives me a -1. I have a commander advantage, I think. O'Reilly's a fighter, so yeah, he'll give the advantage. So that evens me out. Okay, I think I'm evened out at a 2 as well. I succeed. Check the outcome. In this case, it's going to be a firefight. Both sides roll. Column. That's both the column types. The other is line type. So the Austrians are in line. The French are in column, so they get a +1 to the die roll. Skirmisher firing. I think that's just if it's skirmishers. I should have gotten an advantage somewhere. There was a skirmisher disadvantage that I didn't take into account. Did I? Yeah, so that should have been -1 more, but I think I got a 6 on the die roll, so screw it, they stood. So what are my sizes here? I'm a B versus an A. That is actually twice the size. So there should have been another -1 on the French, but that's not going to affect anything here. So I am in column A through C. I'll be on the right-hand side. And in line, I'm on the left-hand side, which is for the larger units and should cause more losses. And I don't think there's anything that comes into impact here. Let me look at skirmisher firing, make sure. That may be one of the ones that's spelled out. Well, that better be, because I can't tell you. Skirmisher disadvantage, no. No, they don't say skirmisher firing here. Fuck me. Is it here, skirmishers in close combat? I don't know. Oh, fuckies. Yeah, I'm not sure where that skirmisher firing comes in. Like, both sides have a skirmisher involved. I think it's somewhere in here. Skirmishers stacked with other units can participate in both. Alone they can only, this doesn't say anything useful. Skirmisher versus skirmisher, check to stand. They do not use combat loss tables. Instead, the loser suffers the morale check. It might be reduced. That's not it. Skirmisher artillery combo. That's not it. It says it fires. No, I don't know. As a C-class unit, which might mean something. Yeah, I don't know what that fucking skirmisher firing means. I get the feeling that that's somewhere under firefight. which has something. Let me keep looking. Check to stand. Die roll modifiers. Check to stand outcome. Close combat results. This is where it should be. Firefight. In a firefight, both players use the column corresponding. Different levels, large stacks, on tables marked with a bullet. Yeah, I won't remember that yet. I am not seeing anything about the skirmisher firing modifier there. And that's where it should be. They both have one. I don't think that would reduce the the damage though. I get the feeling that that's only if only a skirmisher's firing at you, but that would be covered with skirmishers alone. They choose to stay and fight. It's the only thing I can think of. And I don't remember where the fuck I am. I think I've got nothing. The white is on this column. The blue is on that column. Because columns are better than lines for this part. Okay, we got big rolls for everybody. The French took 2 hits and 2 morale. 2 straggles. And this is, I can't remember the unit anymore. I think it's the 6th light. So that's 1, 2. I had 1. I take 2 more. I'm down to a C-sized unit. I'm wrecked, which I can mark this way as well. That reduces my morale to a shaken itself. And yeah, I know. And I'll be repulsed, which I'll place like this. As I try to deal with these tiny fucking counters. This is my own fault that they're so small. Okay. For the other side, we got a 5 total, which is 2-2 and morale down 2. And the first one of those. So here's one of the problems. I have artillery to begin with. When artillery, I think I don't worry about the gun losses yet. So I take 2 hits against whoever's there, the Jaegers. And the Jaegers also take a 2-2. They lose a morale level for that. They're now disorganized. And then 2 more morale, they're routed. I have to pack up guns. I think somewhere it says, whenever that happens, you roll on the lost guns table. I also have a possible loss check for my leader. Close. So I am routed. And let me look up the gun loss thing. Because here's the thing. If it was guns alone, I would be rolling on the gun loss table right away. But I think I would have to roll again if I routed. So let's find the gun loss table. Which is somewhere here. Trust me, it exists. There's gun loss. All guns are horse artillery, that's a -1. I'm okay. And these all route with Riley and hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that 6 away? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm there. I've got to straighten up counters and whatnot. Okay. I think that's the result of that close combat. And I got to tell you, the original was painful too. Don't think that, you know, oh, CWB is not this hard. The original, it just happened during movement. And CWB is actually that hard if you do close combats a lot. Okay. This may be a little worse. This is check to stand at, loser, firefight retreats. I think that's it. We're done with the close combat. That takes us to the Wrangler phase, the rally phase, and we recover boink, boink, boink. Those are automatics. I've got the router to check. Blown cav? Yeah, that happens afterwards. I got the router to check. I don't remember the numbers here. You know, so this is the thing. You memorize some of this stuff eventually, but it's not there on me right now. There's another gun loss table. Or is that the same one? So this is a morale B unit, I guess, with a 4. And I've got a leader on me. I'm sure that has an effect. Stacked with a 2 rated or better commander, that's +1. 7. So I'm no longer routed, which means this gets replaced with a disorder. Fuck. I can't manipulate these little things. And now I want to unblow my cav, which is also a morale check. That's an A morale cav. And there's no modifiers to that. So that's a 3 or higher. My cav wakes up. And the French have done a number on O'Reilly's line, but this is not the important location. It's down here and beyond that's important. Okay, well, that wore the fuck out of me. And that'll flip this over. And we go to the Austrian turn. And I'm going to put a die here because maybe it'll remind me that I have to roll for a random event. So I started the Austrian 12 turn and made a roll for the S division. Things are getting kind of cluttered there and wrong. They didn't come in, didn't get an event either. That's great. But I'm on the command phase, and I started looking at my commander and thinking, hey, what does Ott want to write? I'm kind of glad I'm playing this tiny one. Marengo's not very big, but I would much rather get used to this system and the changes in the system that I'm not familiar with, battering my way through it as I am. But I have found, I went and looked at O'Reilly, who's sitting over here ready to route this, or rally this routed unit. And I just started thinking, I don't think I've seen anything. He's a 2F, a 2 quality leader with an F, which means he's a fighter, so he gets an improvement there. That would make sense under the old system. I'm not sure it does under this system. Everything that I've seen is like, are you at least a 2 leader is where all the bonuses are. Maybe I'll find something and I'll report if I do. But yeah, I mean, the only reason for those other numbers is, and I haven't looked at that yet either, is in the command phase where you do worry about the rating. You know what? Attack stoppage checks, those might be impacted by fighters. I don't remember. Because my feeling was the fighters had only to do with the order acceptance. So that may be the one place where it is. But yeah, for like rallying and stuff like that, it's all, are you a decent leader or not? You know? And decent might be 1 or 2. I haven't seen anything higher than that. That seems to impact things, which is a little weird because it used to be, in the old system, they used to say, well, you're a 4-level leader, you got like a significant bonus on rallies and everything like that. Not anymore. Which one makes more sense? I don't know. You know, I'm willing to accept either design principle, but whatever. Anyhow, I'm trying to figure out what my orders for this V division are going to be, because, you know, it's sort of a, where do I want to defend? I can fling him up to Gandolfi here, or Gandolfi here, and that's probably about as good a place as I can go. And that gives me a lot of room to fall back on Casteggio, which I want to hold on to. Standing at Casteggio, although clearly, you know, I got a river line, and that is a tributary instead of a stream. Jeez. We got rivers, tributaries. Yeah, a tributary is definitely nastier than a stream. Yeah, so that would be a much, much harder path to go across. But the way the victory conditions are set, I think I want to defend far forward of that and give ground, which is somewhat artificial, because the truth of the matter is, the reason I want to hold this is because of that river line. And that, yeah, I could probably fall back further if not for that. How much further? I don't know, but, you know, it's such a tiny map that it's hard to judge anything there. All right, I'll quit babbling and try to figure out what I want to write as orders. I've written some orders which you could almost argue are complex. Move toward Gandolfini and defend it and northward. My goal with these orders is cover Gandolfini and whatever you can north, which may mean that I'm relying on O'Reilly to defend Gandolfini itself. It's going to leave a gap over here, perhaps, although I think O'Reilly's orders cover protecting that enough. I mean, we're only talking a couple hexes, and it's really, really hard, you know, unless I specify by the hex what to determine anything beyond that. But what I don't want is the French advancing across here, which looks pretty easy. Okay, so I look at Ott. Ott is a 3-liter. And I'm going to look at that. I have 15 points of command I could assign. Well, oral, since I'm in the same hex as 2, and general brings it to 3. If I made it to complex, I could make it a 7-point order. But I don't think a complex order really follows here, right? It just doesn't feel, it's certainly not an attack, it's not an engage order. And the if is sort of implied in there. If O'Reilly's not at Gandolfi, somebody ought to be defending that. Is that allowable? I think so, but whatever. Okay, since I'm in the same space, the order arrives immediately. And what that means is I take the sender's command rating of 3, the 1-point Vogelberg rating brings me to a 4, methods in person, 5, 6, type is general, fine, no order brings it up to a 7. I'm going to use the white die first. I'll be here. And basically we want to roll a 54 or higher to take the order immediately. We succeed. That order is accepted. And I can just mark that this way and like this. And unlike in Viva l'Empereur, I can begin operating immediately on that order. That's the only order I'm writing. Now I go to the phasing fire phase, and I do not have any gun capabilities anymore because my gun's routed away. So then I go to movement. After movement, my cav has been knocked back here for the French, so I'm kind of free to move up into close proximity with the French units. I've got no chance of a reaction charge or anything like that. There's no artillery here, so I'm pretty safe here. And the V division has moved up here. The gun's a little behind. I'm leaving these guys there. I see no opportunity for any fire anywhere, any close combat. The only thing we get is our rally phase. This is automatic. We got no straggler recovery of any kind. And now I roll for, I got a couple of different units here. So let me look at the rally rolls for a moment. Because, I wish they had a number here. There we go. Friendly stacks rally. That's what I thought it was. Make a morale check for routed units. Use the lead unit to check. Okay, so I have one morale that I can declare lead here. And B sounds probably pretty good for me. I wish, and maybe it is the case, that there was just a generic morale check table, right? That's where morale of a number makes sense. It's not here. B is 4. Leader modifier, I don't even see one on this. Oh, there it is for all users. Yep, I got a 2 rated or better commander. So I need a 3. I do not get it, which means I have to check to see if I retreat some more. And we go another turn. I'm going to load this one up because I've shown most of the mechanisms of play, even the order writing finally. And I think then step back and do more playing and less exposition. Maybe less talking, who knows. and just show kind of, you know, the narrative as it develops from there, where I'll only step in where there's something really interesting going on to point out a mechanism in play or whatever. All right, at least that's my plan.